This is going to be an interesting one. In 1993, Jacob Nielsen and Thomas K. Landower, I hope I'm not butchering that name, published a paper, the results of which have become a go-to statement in the world of user experience and UX research. Testing with 5 users can help you surface 80% of your usability issues. Many researchers, including myself, don't agree to this and think it's not always true. So in this video, I'm going to explain why is that, whether the statement is true in today's day and age, and what are the problems in testing with 5 users. First, let's understand the paper. Nielsen and Landower evaluated software of the time, that is software that were present in 1993, with participants ranging from 11 to 77 in numbers. The goal was to identify mathematically how many usability problems can be found by users. After finishing the research, they published this graph in the paper which mentions the proportion of usability problems found with increasing number of participants. And if you see closely, the graph flattens out after the number 5. Post this, Jacob Nielsen published an article on Nielsen Norman Group's website titled "Why You Only Need to Test with 5 Users," where he explains what he meant and why is that. We'll have a look at the said article later, but right now let's focus on the paper. 2 more papers were published to test the same hypothesis that Nielsen made. Are 5 users enough to surface 80% of usability issues? And that's where things got interesting. Jared Spool with his colleague in 2001 and Fallknocker in 2003 both published a paper and concluded testing with only 5 users in many cases surfaced problem as low as 30% and in some cases, which are the best cases, as high as 55%. After listening to this, you might think that somehow Nielsen's paper is wrong, but it's not. And to understand this, all we have to do is read these individual papers. So I've linked all the paper in the description below that like button. And after all this, there was one thing that was certain. Testing with only 5 users have its problems. So let's discuss what those problems are. The first one is repetition or the uniqueness of the problem. See, when you test with 5 users, you only have 5 subjects. If there are unique problems in individual cases, you cannot identify the severity and the scale of the problem. It might also happen that those problems were happening with those users on that day at that time and not regularly, or they don't happen every day. Because you're only testing with 5 users, it's very difficult to understand what constitutes a problem or what do you call a problem. The second problem is the magnitude of the problem. So for small products or smaller problems, testing with 5 users can be okay, but for the problem that affects the life of million people, or the product which is a global product, or for something like an enterprise products like Google Docs, Microsoft Word, testing with only 5 users may not give you the complete picture. In products like these, the stakes are high, the magnitude is high, the scale is very high, and therefore testing with only 5 users, as I mentioned, cannot help you identify all the problems that all the different kind of people are facing. The third is diversity of users. So this is very important in products where there is a lot of users. So for a global product like Amazon, people of various ages use that product, from teenagers to old people. And with such diversity of users, how would you choose the 5 users that will provide you some common problems to solve for? So diversity of a user base plays an important role while choosing your research participants. These are the 3 problems that can make your research not valuable if you're testing with only 5 users. Apart from these 3, there are 2 more things. The first is adoption of technology. So Nielsen's paper was published in 1993. Jared Spool's paper was published in 2001 and Fallknocker's paper was published in 2003. And this is 2020. It's still 17 years from the last paper published by Fallknocker. During these time, technology has changed a lot. New technologies has been introduced to the world. Back in 1993, when Jacob Nielsen published the paper, internet was new at that age. People were learning how to use all these things. But now, mental models of people have evolved. Their choices have evolved. Their problems have evolved. And with all the different products in the market, people interact with different technologies very differently. So it is more important now to understand what the mental model of different kind of people are. And because technology is infused in our daily lives very closely, it is even more important for us to understand how people interact with the technology in today's age than ever. And one more problem that can happen if you test with only 5 users is something which is called lack of experience in research. An experienced researcher can do a lot more in the smaller sample size than an inexperienced researcher. So experienced researchers are more likely to extract more information from a small sample size, and they know when to deep dive with the users when they identify or spot a particular behavior or statement made. So if you're combining only 5 users with an inexperienced researcher, there might be chances that you might not find the research as valuable as it should be. Invaluable research is much more expensive than research in itself. So all these problems put a very strong argument against the statement you only need to test with 5 users. Now the question is, if there are so many problems with testing with only 5 users, why do Jakob Nielsen promotes this? Turns out it's not what it sounds like. Remember the article that I mentioned that Jakob Nielsen wrote? If you go to the article and read the summary says the best result comes from testing no more than 5 users and running as many small tests as you can afford. Further on, he also talks about iterative design and again mentions, let's say that you do have the funding to recruit 15 representative customers and have them test your designs. Great. Spend this budget on 3 studies with 5 users each. So nowhere has it been mentioned that you only need to test with 5 users and you can rely with only testing with 5 users. So next time if you want to perform a research and you think testing with only 5 users will help you surface a lot of problems, just remember that there's a caveat to it. So if you will read the paper, you will understand that testing with only 5 users will surface 80% of the usability issues in the best case with 90% confidence, but with a 18.5% error rate. What that means is that let's say you have 10 problems in your product. So if you do with a test with only 5 users, in best case, you will uncover 8.5 problems. And in the worst case, you will identify only 6.5 problems. And that is when you certainly know that there are 10 problems in a product. In the real world, while doing a testing, you don't really know how many problems are there in your product. And in that cases, especially if your product is at scale, taking the gamble with testing with only 5 users is not worth the risk. I hope we're clear on the fact that you don't need to test with just 5 users. And I have debunked this whole theory that is being floating around on the internet that testing with 5 users is enough or it will surface 80% of the problem. I really wanted to cover, if not 5, how many users should you really recruit to test with them. But I'm not going to cover in this video. That's going to be a separate video in itself. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification icon so you get notified when I upload that video. And if you like these kind of videos, let me know by hitting that like button. Also, go through all the papers that I mentioned and in the comment down below, let me know what you understand of them. And if there anything that I missed to mention in this video that I should have. If you're new to the channel, what's up? Welcome to the squad. My name is Manav Madan. I'm a designer and a researcher based out of New Delhi, India. I share resources, industry insights, best practices, and even bring experienced designer on the channel so we can learn from them how to be a better designer and how to grow and pivot our career. So that's been it, guys. Thank you for watching. Until next time, this is Manav Madan. You are watching UX and More. Chenkui.